Hello everybody, welcome back to Stutterbox. Happy New Year. I'm Eric, and this is my new background. It's temporary though. I finally got myself an office, but I will be turning this out. Like, people will be shocked by the design. And what better way to kick off the new year than to talk about one of my favorite TV shows of all time, Scream Queens Season 1.
If this is our pledge class, I'm killing myself.
Though at some point, someone needs to talk about Season 2, because that was bad.
Why?
Released in 2015 and viral every single year since, Scream Queens is Ryan Murphy's ultimate stroke of genius. And at this point, everyone and their moms have talked about Scream Queens Season 1 ad nauseum. So I'm here to do the same.
First of all, I'm an American. I don't have to understand anything.
The story follows a serial killer hunting down all members of Kappa Kappa Tau, and on premise alone, this sounds like a very basic foundation for a slasher. But this was Ryan Murphy and his sisters, Brad and Ian. They had just wrapped up Glee, and they needed to put that sassy twink energy somewhere.
Rachel, your mustache is thicker than a Middle Eastern dictator's.
A baby? With whose vagina?
Hey.
Hey, dwarf. Anyone ever tell you that you dress like one of the bait girls on To Catch a Predator?
Also, I'm more talented than you.
Now, Glee was already pushing the boundaries of this absurdist comedy, especially in the later seasons, which is why it kind of derailed. Well, Scream Queens is like Glee on crack and steroids. Meets American Horror Story.
Line up for tonight's festivities. We're going to play a game called Cocaine or Dildo.
It's got the very specific brand of nasty dialogue that Ryan, Brad, and Ian are known for. Nasty, filthy reads taken to an absurd extreme full of pop references, sharp, cutthroat, and quite frankly, really fun. That said, the humor definitely isn't for everyone, and I feel like if you like it, you really like it. And if you don't like it, it's like the worst fucking thing you've ever seen. So wherever you fall on the spectrum, let's talk about the highlights of the season, because the less context you have, the better. Like, some of these things are... Why don't I just talk about it? Also, subscribe if you're not already. It's a great New Year's decision. New year, new you, new YouTuber. We're a Kappa Kappa Tau sorority party. It's the 90s, everyone's dressed weird, and they're all having fun. A girl comes downstairs, hands covered in blood. Do you just get your period all over yourself? It's not my blood. Cut to a bathroom upstairs where a girl just gave birth to a baby. Who told you could have a baby here tonight? Guys, I'm so sorry. Obviously, I'm as upset as anyone about this. I'm sure I can walk if I can just get some Gatorade. Nasty girls hear that TLC's Waterfalls is playing downstairs, so they say, hold on, let us get our jam on, and then we'll be back and help you. So they go and dance at TLC's Waterfalls. Except when they come back, the girl is dead. What the hell are we going to do now? I just spent the last 2 hours talking and I realized that it wasn't recording. It just stopped. So, cut to 20 years in the future, 2015, and this is when we're introduced to the Chanels.
Good morning, slits.
My name's Chanel Oberlin, and I am the queen of Kappa Kappa Tau. These are my minions. I don't know their names. I don't want to know their names. They're known as Chanel number 2, Chanel number 3, Chanel number 5. I'm Chanel number 1, obvi. There was a Chanel number 4, but she got meningitis. She was like, I'm sick, I have to go home. And I was like, no, stay. But she went home anyway, and then she died. So another thing I was right about. Chanel is a rich, spoiled brat that encompasses all forms of bigotry ever invented or imagined by mankind throughout history. Every sentence that comes out of her mouth is verbal assault against someone, mostly number 5. Like the things she says, I couldn't repeat all of them on YouTube because some of the stuff that she says is really whack. And a lot of people had a problem with that, with how offensive her character is and problematic, and I get it. But also, there's a difference between portraying an evil character and endorsing the evil actions of an evil character. And the Chanels, the concept of Chanel Oberlin is the most important thing for the show. She has to be this evil because everyone wants to kill her. And that brings me to why this show is so current. Like, Chanel's truck driver of a mouth has sort of become normal discourse online. A lot of people talk smack about how sororities are exclusive and they're a class system. Well, guess what? Life is a class system, and a sorority is the one place left in the world where you get to pick and choose the people around you. Like, Chanel Oberlin would have thrived in 2025, 2026. Trump's presidency is like made for people like Chanel, white rich people. Another heavy hitter of the season is Dean Munch, played by Jamie Lee Curtis.
But I live in a different canyon, but the entire Pacific Palisades looks like, unfortunately Gaza or one of these war-torn countries.
Care to explain, chubby old Nazi?
She summons Chanel to her office and says, "I hate sororities and I hate you." To which Chanel responds, "Do you think you like to munchbox because your last name is Munch, or is that just a coincidence?" It's just vicious and fun. The dean has a vendetta against Kappa Kappa Tau. She considers them as a source of rampant reports of alcoholism, prescription drug abuse, racism, as well as allegations of bestiality.
No one forced that goat to get as drunk as it got. That's on him.
And just the year before, the previous president of Kappa Kappa Tau, Melanie Dorcas, was involved in a horrifying accident where she got chemical burns all over her body after a mysterious little someone swapped her tanning tank for something with acid inside. After she said to Chanel Oberlin, "My main problem with you, Chanel, is that you're short. And historically, short people are sneaky backstabbers, like Napoleon or Paul Schaefer." Need I say more? So to curb the violence, the dean wants to revoke their charter, which I'm sure means something. Enter Gigi, a woman in her 40s, and I kid you not, she's been diagnosed with a disorder that kept part of her psyche permanently trapped in the 90s, which is why she always wears 90s clothing and only listens to 90s music. And that's because Ryan Murphy brought a big bag of crack and mushrooms and LSD to the writer's room, and they spent 6 to 8 hours getting high, smoking from the same pipe, exchanging stupid ideas, writing them all down, and then half of them made the cut. And I love it. And the show's humor has different facets, and Chanel Oberlin is the perfect example of all of these different avenues of humor that Ryan and the sisters find. So Ryan and the sisters, they're the holy trinity of the sassy twink mouth, and it's Ryan Murphy, Brad Falchuk, and Ian Brennan. So Ryan, Brad, and Ian. RBI. Brie. Like the Brie cheese, it gives you gas because it's toxic. So there's observational humor, like when Chanel calls Grace talking pumpkin or walking jawline, or Hester Pooh Belly. And that's a type of observational humor that was already very present in Glee. And if it's not observational humor, it's just straight up bigotry and slurs. Stuff that you shouldn't say. But she says, and now people also say. So like the show is ahead of its time.
I am a future network news anchor who's super classy and has almost no fat on her body.
Chanel is richer than everyone else, hotter and skinnier, and she's the president of Kappa Kappa Tau because it offers the perfect pipeline for her to become a news anchor in the future. Think Fox News. Kappa Kappa Tau is like the academy that creates the Laura Ingrams and the Megyn Kellys of the world. Hell, the Candace Owens even. I'm not joking, by the way. Allow me to be oh so very fucking serious for a second. The way Chanel Oberlin talks to everyone is how I imagine conservatives talk to people when there's not cameras around, right? I mean, some of them are already starting to talk like that when there's cameras and tweets around, but the way she is nasty and vile to everyone is genuinely how I imagine right-wingers to exist in the world. They're rotten, filthy, gross in real life, but on a TV show like this, it's kind of iconic. Then there's Grace, the one that would be the main character if this was a conventional slasher that obeys the conventional rules of slashers. She is the Puritan, the virgin, the main character who investigates the crimes and has an unwavering moral code, except she's also really fucking annoying. And that's on purpose. This show does something really funny, which is the people that you're normally supposedly meant to root for, the people who aren't killing anyone in this show, are mostly really annoying.
I'm going to the authorities.
And the nasty, evil, mean girls who definitely deserve to die because they are absolutely horrible human beings are the only ones who bring the fun and the drama and the attitude and the entertainment value. So it's like, you kind of want the bad people to make it to the end.
Basic bitches. What fresh hell is this?
Chanel brings the drama and the reads and the attitude. You know what Grace brings? Oh, what a perfect example. Both of them ordering a different coffee. I'll have a Trenta, no foam, 5-shot, half calf, no foam, pumpkin spice latte with no foam at 210 degrees. She has an argument with the barista and she repeats it a few times and it's honestly music to my ears. And then Grace. Pumpkin spice latte, please. I want it freezing though. Then she chuckles, kiki kaka, and says, actually, I just want a regular coffee. Those white girl pumpkin spice lattes annoy me. Pick me. Ooh, pick me. Ooh, pick, 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 pick. Now, being a pick me in 2015, bad enough. But that's not the worst. The barista, Pete, asks her for a name because he needs to write a name on the coffee cup for someone to then call that name out loud for the entire room to hear when the coffee's done. And she says,
Senorita Awesome.
and when he says she doesn't seem the type to rush Kappa Kappa Tau, she says, well, clearly you haven't discovered the many layers of Senorita Awesome. She said it again. I don't know what to do with my hands. Like, this is insane. Back to the plot, and long story short, Dean Munch and Gigi come to a compromise, and this year they have to accept any and all pledges who decide to rush Kappa Kappa Tau. That right there is the quickest way to clear the room around here. Because the beauty of the KKT is the exclusivity. It's why diamonds are a girl's best friend and not gravel. And the pledges are basically cannon fodder for the series. You know, Ryan Murphy just needed people to kill off every episode. We got Deaf Taylor Swift, Jennifer the Candle Vlogger, Predatory Les. Like every character is just a walking stereotype for Chanel Oberlin to make fun of. That's it. The series is how many people can Chanel Oberlin insult before they die. Accepting all these losers is obviously a threat to the sorority, and Chanel says something to Miss Bean that I think perfectly encompasses why I think she's Donald Trump coded. If Dean Munch gets her way, Kappa's gonna be filled with fatties and ethnics. The fatties will bring their big old appetites, and you know what those ethnics will bring with them? Weird spices from their home countries. That is a nuclear combination, Miss Bean. The weird ethnic spices will send the fatties racing to the bathroom to blow liquid fire out of their huge swollen bowels. Think of the splashback. Think of the undersides of all the toilets that you're gonna have to sanitize, Miss Bean. Now replace that with a few words and give it a Donald Trump impression. I can't do one properly, but I'll give it my all.
The fatties will bring their big old appetites, and you know what those ethnics will bring with them? Weird spices from their countries, and oh, that's gonna be a nuclear combination. Nobody can have nuclear. We all know I'm the only one that has nuclear codes and nuclear weapons.
Like, that's Trump. Like, maybe my impression is bad. Chanel wants to scare all the pledges away so she concocts a plan with Miss Bean where she'll pretend to burn her face off in hot oil. But when she dunks her face in the oil, it's hot, burns her face off, and kills her. But like, the concept of dunking her face in the hot oil and not seeing the machine is on and the oil is hot. And because this show doesn't allow logic to get in the way of a silly fun story, they all unanimously decide to hide the body instead of calling the police because Chanel promises to get them hot boyfriends and take them on her dad's private jet. Except the body then disappears from the freezer, which becomes kind of a rule of thumb for the rest of the show. Anytime someone is killed or shows up dead, they get put in the freezer and then the body just disappears. And that's why there's never a police investigation. Ariana Grande's casting also remains one of the funniest things. It was very Drew Barrymore Scream 1996. She was cast, she was at a pivotal moment in her rise to stardom, I think. So Ryan Murphy snatched her just in time to put her on every bit of promotional material, all of the posters, all of the trailers, and then killed her off in episode 1. And her death scene remains something to be studied. Feels like a skit that someone would do today on TikTok, which again, very ahead of its time. The Chanels perform a blood oath for some reason, but Chanel number 2 freaks out and leaves to go home because she wants to be a news anchor. So she's packing when someone texts her. Brave enough to open the door? She opens the door and the Red Devil walks in. He texts again. So you want to dance with the devil? Number 2 smiles. Maybe. They do one dance move. He texts her again. I'm gonna kill you now. Wait, what? And he stabs her. She wakes up long enough to kick him back. She texts him, stop, please stop. And instead of screaming or making noise, Chanel number 2 crawls to her laptop and writes a Facebook post. He is killing me. The Red Devil is killing me. I let him into my room. Now I'm being stabbed to death. Somebody please help me. Please. 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 The Red Devil, now back up, stabs her again. She passes out and comes back to it just long enough to press post. Then the Chanels find number 2 dead, and after realizing that Miss Bean's body is no longer in the freezer, Chanel Oberlin assumes that Miss Bean came back to life, killed number 2, and is now gonna go after them. So instead of calling the police, they put Chanel number 2's body in the freezer and don't tell anyone that she's dead. We also meet Chad, played by Glenn Powell, Chanel's boyfriend, and the best way to describe Chad is by his name. He's a Chad. Incredibly narcissistic, self-absorbed, brain-dead, womanizing idiot who relies on his looks to literally sleep with every woman on this campus, and I mean every woman. And I feel like in 2015, Chad, his physique would have been what the looks maxing community would want to achieve. Whereas I feel like now they've gone even further than that, and now we've got Clavicular, a 19-year-old who looks 40. So once again, Ryan Murphy was ahead of his time. By the end of episode 1, deaf Taylor Swift, one of the pledges, gets her head mowed off by the Red Devil because the pledges were all buried to their necks in the backyard. It was part of hazing week. And everyone sees the Red Devil in the mowing machine coming, and they all start screaming. But deaf Taylor Swift can't see them, so she assumes they're singing Taylor Swift, so she starts singing Shake It Off until the Red Devil mows her head off. And after this, the series just starts doing shit. For example, in episode 2, Gigi hires Denise Hemphill, employed by Secure Enforcement Solutions, to help protect the girls. She doesn't have a license to carry a firearm, she doesn't even have a phone, but you know what she does have? A nightstick, okay? Pepper spray, and a walkie-talkie that she can use to call the authorities who do have firearms. And her plan of protecting these girls has 3 steps, 3 very important steps. And that is, if you see the Red Devil or are attacked, first you're gonna wanna scream Denise Hemphill's name real loud. And if she's in the vicinity, she will come running. However, if they do step 1 and Denise Hemphill does not show up, it means that she is not in the vicinity, so they have to proceed to step 2. Step 2 is calling 1-866-KLJ-0199, which will notify Denise Hemphill immediately and she will come running. Now, if they can't get through the number because of long waiting lines and such, then they have to proceed to step 3. And step 3 is get the hell out of there, run away. It's very simple. Later in the episode, she finds her partner dead in the car and says, "Shondell, why you got a knife on your throat?" Then drives off before stopping to kick Shondell's body out of the car and then keeps driving. In episode 3, Hester loses her neck brace and gets a makeover from Chanel, becomes Chanel number 6, and says, "My muscles have atrophied and the pain from not wearing my brace has me on the verge of passing out, but I've never been happier in my whole life." Chanel says I can hold her hair back now on purge nights. In episode 4, we find out that Chanel's diet is dipping cotton balls in sauce and swallowing them so they can take up space in the stomach. Episode 5 has a bunch of good moments. This is when Chanel takes her Asian to do a test for her.
Are you cheating?
God, no. Kaisi is my Asian.
Like, who comes up with this shit? One thing the Holy Trinity has is fucking nerve. Chanel is then sent to prison for killing Miss Bean, forms a posse the same day, a posse that swears to protect her with their life, only to make bail immediately after and walk out of prison looking like this. I mean, kind of cunt, kind of serving. This is also the episode where they fake eat and Chanel number 3 says, "Time for the entree," and it's an empty plate. Yes. Also, Chanel number 5 is the punching bag of the group, and more specifically, Chanel Oberlin's punching bag. Every conversation is an opportunity to hurl insults at her or tell everyone her vagina has teeth. In episode 5, she tells Chanel number 5, "I'll show Roger and Dodger video proof that their hot new girlfriend regularly rubs it out in the room while watching Dora the Explorer." Yes.
Have cameras in my room.
Yes. In episode 6, they throw a slumber party and play Truth or Dare. And the logic is ironclad that if you pick truth, you're gonna speak the truth. You can't lie. That's just how it works. And that's it. So Chanel takes the opportunity to ask the hard-hitting questions. Chanel number 5, Truth or Dare? Truth. Does your vagina have teeth? That's insane. No, it doesn't, Chanel. I thought she wasn't allowed to lie. I'm not lying. My vagina doesn't have teeth. Can I rephrase the question? Does your vagina still have teeth? No, the answer is no. No, it no longer has teeth, so it used to have teeth, but you got them removed? No, I didn't. Then your vagina still has teeth. Which one is it, number 5? Sounds like you're trapped in a web of lies. In episode 7, Chanel gives a eulogy at Chanel number 2's funeral, and that's because when Chanel number 2's parents found out she was dead, they went on a cruise to celebrate. Yes. Dearly beloved, we're gathered here today because a backstabbing little bitch got exactly what was coming to her. Chanel number 2 literally never had my back. Whenever I wanted to strut across campus or down a long hallway with the other Chanel, she'd always be like, "I have a colonic." So instead of strutting across campus in a beautiful diamond formation, we were forced to strut across campus in a triad formation like a bunch of hobos because number 2 didn't think she should have to walk behind me. But whenever I'd find myself descending a staircase in heels, you can bet number 2 was right there behind me with a helpful little nudge. This dumb dad whore also used her high ponied wilies to seduce my man into rubbing uglies with her. So I hope you all grasp the concept that this is what happens when you rub uglies with my man. You end up dead. So have fun being dead, number 2. You are a stupid little trollop, and I hope you're burning in hell right now. Amen. Dean Munch also turns out to be an unkillable bad bitch with no morals and a divine hatred for the Chanels. She kills her ex-husband and frames his new girlfriend who stole him from her for this and every other murder that has happened on campus up until that point. Because why not? You know, the story's not complicated enough. Let's just throw another fun little side plot for shits and giggles. But also, I get it. Like in the first interview, she was like, "You're so lucky. Your husband is so cute." Why would you, as a student, say this to a professor at a college that you're about to attend? Talk shit, get hit. In episode 8, we get a recreation of the psycho shower scene, which was made famous by Jamie Lee Curtis's mother, Janet Leigh. Except in this case, she dodges the attack and single-handedly physically beats up 3 killers. Like I said, unkillable bad bitch. And then at some point, everyone becomes convinced that Dean Munch has to be the killer. So several people try to kill her. They try to poison her. She drinks it. Nothing happens. They try to cryogenically freeze her. She's meant to die, but she comes out fresh as a daisy. So Chanel devises a plan to kill the Dean. Except they all fail to show up when they were supposed to. Because they go shopping and Chanel number 5 is at the store asking them to cut off all of the label 4s from the undergarments that she has and stitch label 0s there so she can leave the store with exactly what she wanted, a bunch of undergarments in a size 0. So Chanel sends them an email, and I like to imagine that this is similar to the email that Ben Shapiro probably sent Candace Owens when she turned on Israel publicly. Attention all useless Kappa sluts. Congratulations! If you're reading this, it means you've overcome the limitations of your tiny manatee brains and opened an email. Now, if you're asking yourself, wait, I'm confused. Is Chanel talking to me? Am I a useless Kappa slut? Simply ask yourself the following question aloud. Is my name Chanel number 3, Chanel number 5, Chanel number 6, or Zayde Williams? Because if the answer to that is yes, then felicitations, this missive is for you. So do you remember when we agreed to meet at the campus pool and kill the dean, and I got you all awesome new phones so that when it came time to meet, the phone would light up a certain color, and when it did, you didn't even have to answer it, you just had to come meet me at the aforementioned pool? And then do you remember not coming to the pool despite me making it super easy for you by concocting a plan so simple that an orangutan could have figured it out? Like, literally, a circus ape of moderate intelligence could have looked down at the phone sticking out of the single pocket in the front of his comical lederhosen and seen it light up and used his short little legs to waddle over to his tiny motorized Shriner's car and driven to the pool like I asked. Do you remember any aspect of this super simple plan? That's not a rhetorical question. I'm literally asking if your tiny slut brains have the power to process any of my super simple orangutan level instructions, because what I remember is that none of you showed up, which meant I had to sit at that stupid pool by myself like a grade A asshat with a bag full of enormous chains to drown Dean Munch with, and then have a super awkward convo with her where I was like, oh, I just like bringing enormous chains to pools, and I looked like a total div. I don't entirely know what you whores could have been doing that was more important than helping your chapter president drown a serial killer, but unless that thing you were doing was getting enemas of pure liquid gold at a new local establishment called Liquid Gold Colonics for young sluts, like, if you were doing literally anything else, you all should seriously consider doing the human race a favor and getting sterilized. I'm not being facetious. I literally think you should consider undergoing a surgical procedure to remove your ovaries, thereby sparing human race exposure to your DNA. You 4 trollops are the worst specimens of human beings ever born, and you all should really watch your backs, because if this serial killer targeting Kappa House doesn't chop off your heads, I'm gonna do it, so I can sell your tiny whore brain pans to science. Sincerely, Chanel Oberlin. The Red Devil forwards it to everyone, and Chanel becomes public enemy number 1. The media harasses her, beg her for a statement, and she gives them one.
You can all suck it!
And now the finale, like the epitome of let's just do shit. Whatever. Throughout the season, we found out several things. The baby in the bathtub was Boone, played by Nick Jonas, who was pretending to be gay when he was secretly in love with Zayde Williams. He pretends to be dead, then he comes back and pretends to be a ghost, and everyone believes that he is a ghost, and they all get really, really scared. Then Pete, the barista, also joined the Red Devils because he saw that they were doing good work by getting rid of the evil of this world. So the plan of the Red Devils was to kill off as many sorority Kappa girls as possible so that they would have to close a sorority house so that they could end the system that created the babies in the bathtub. Yes, babies. There was another one that people missed, apparently, a boy and a girl. So Gigi was institutionalized when the mother of the babies in the bathtub died. Dean Munch covered up the entire thing, and then Gigi just somehow ended up taking care of the babies, and because she was institutionalized, the babies grew up in the asylum. Because that's what happens when someone is taking care of babies who have just lost their mom giving birth and is institutionalized, they let the babies grow up on the floor on a picnic cloth. Gigi then spends the following 20 years training Boone and Hester. Hester is the other baby in the bathtub. She raises these two to become vicious serial killers, and then they sort of just join university and ta-da! Well, Boone doesn't join, he just starts showing up and they assume that he's enrolled and that's it because nobody goes to classes anyway. But Hester wanted to do things right, so she falsifies all of her reports, her SAT scores, her address, everything. And Dean Munch, seeing that everything is fake, is like, normally this is a red flag, we'd say no, but I want to give someone a chance. We need more diversity, and I like that you have scoliosis, so join in. Scoliosis, the neck brace, that was all a ruse for people not to ask too many questions about her. That was her disguise. And the way she gets away with everything is wild, because end of episode 12, Grace and Zayde check her records and find out that everything is fake. So they conclude Hester is the baby in the bathtub. They rush home to confront Hester when they find Hester on the floor with a heel jammed in her eye socket. So Hester is in the hospital and Chanel Oberlin is accusing Chanel number 5 of being the killer because Hester pointed at her and said, "Red Devil, I think you're a serial killer because I know you, number 5. You bite your own toenails." To which Chanel number 5 says, "Okay, I am flexible. Why would I waste my money buying toenail clippers when God already blessed me with toenail clippers in the form of teeth in my mouth?" Who comes up with this shit? Brie. The cheese Brie. Denise walks in. She's now the chief of police because the police did nothing the entire season to investigate any of the, I want to say 20, 30 murders that have happened. And she's here to accuse Zayde Williams of being a killer because earlier in the season, she found a chainsaw under her bed. And ever since then, she became convinced that Zayde is the killer. And I think the joke here is that Denise and Zayde are the only black women in the series. You'd think that they would form some sort of alliance or at least support each other, but instead, no, Denise goes full, nope, it's her. Hester shows up because the heel missed all of her important organs because Hester did it to herself. And she starts laying out all the evidence as to why the 3 Chanels are actually the killer, starting with Chanel number 5, who she accuses of being the other baby in the bathtub. And that's when her parents show up. Her parents are actually 2 actors who show up to corroborate everything their daughter just said. Zayde recognizes the father from a prostate commercial, but the mom says that until recently they were deep undercover CIA agents and had to protect Hester and the dog, which sometimes involved doing commercial work as actors, because that makes so much sense. Chanel number 5 says she also has parents that can corroborate the fact that she's not the baby in the bathtub. And what great timing. Chanel number 5's parents show up. And Chanel number 5 was a punching bag of the season, but like she's so awful that even her parents don't want her. Her parents show up and they're like, "No, that's not our daughter. A woman named Gigi 20 years ago showed up to our doorstep with a baby, handed it to us, and asked us to raise it. And when time came, all we had to do was enroll her in this university and tell her to pledge Kappa Kappa Tau. And we did out of the kindness of our hearts. We tried to love her like our own, but I mean, she's not great. And now that the truth is out that she's probably a murderer, we don't want anything to do with her." And the best part is they didn't even need to be bribed. Like Hester just asked them, "Hey, will you lie?" They're like, "Oh yeah. Ever since the day she learned how to talk, we wanted to disown her. We'll do anything. We don't care if she's the killer or not. I mean, maybe she is, maybe she's not." So Chanel number 5 is arrested by Denise, and next up is Chanel number 3. Hester accuses Chanel number 3 of having split personality. She produces a fake letter from a psychiatrist, from a doctor that never saw number 3, saying that number 3 showed up claiming to be Dirty Helen, the leader of a notorious West Coast biker gang, and that Dirty Helen then made threats and the doctor had to leave the country. He also says that whenever number 3 switches personalities, the other personality not currently in control does not remember the actions of the other personality. And that's enough to convince Chanel number 3 that Chanel number 3 is a killer. And lastly, Chanel Oberlin, the last killer. Hester says Chanel Oberlin actually purchased all of the weapons and the tools used by the killer to kill everyone. And the evidence she has is CCTV footage of the store of Hester wearing a horrendous blonde wig, pretending to be Chanel Oberlin. Add that to the fact that Chanel did burn Miss Bean's face off at the beginning of the season, and also the episode before she tried to stab Melanie Dorcas, and everyone believes that she's the killer, and she's also arrested. And it's the funniest thing, the Chanels just spread run across the house, throwing the biggest tantrum in the world, all while this 90s or 80s song plays in the background. It's so fantastic. Like, it's so fantastic. It's such a good time. Sometime later, though, Dean Munch confronts Hester and reveals that she knows the full truth. She knows Hester was the baby in the bathtub, and she knows that Hester got away with everything. She framed the Chanels, and she's gonna go to the police and tell them the truth. And Hester's like, yeah, sure, we killed a bunch of people, but like the Chanels are really evil, and the system that they perpetuate is the same system that created me and forced me to grow up in an asylum, which again, wouldn't happen in real life. And she also says that if Dean goes to the police, then she'll also tell the police that Dean actually killed her ex-husband and framed his girlfriend. So they agree to part ways amicably and be successful instead of going to prison. Yes, well, yes. And the Chanels go to trial. Chanel Oberlin's parents disowned her and then wrote a letter to court saying that they believe she is the killer. Okay. And once again, it's the funniest shit. The juries are about to read their verdict that says they're not guilty, but before they can read it, Chanel objects, declares the trial a farce, and says, I was under the impression that I had the inalienable right to a jury of my peers. Look at these hippos. These are not my peers. I'm a hot, rich, skinny chick, which makes me entitled to a jury of hot, rich, skinny chicks to see how awesome I am, and to see that the three of us are innocent. And that's enough for the juries to change the verdict from not guilty to guilty on all counts. But instead of going to prison, they are sent to the same asylum where Hester grew up. And honestly, it's the best thing that happens to them. They're now stuck in a house full of unhinged, unstable women, which is exactly where they were before. Chanel number 3 goes full lesbian and starts hooking up with a lesbian nurse. Chanel number 5 is put on so many medications that Chanel Oberlin loves her new personality and they become best friends. And Chanel Oberlin no longer has to starve herself to look skinny for a man. And then the season ends with Chanel getting attacked by a red devil, which we come to find out in season 1 was a bunch of nothing. There's so much nonsense happening, right? There's so many storylines that get so confusing and so messed up and complex at one point that it's just stupid, silly fun. And I think we're ready for a season 3. I think after season 2, they took some time. They needed it. Let me know, actually. Do you guys want me to do season 2? Because it's terrible, but there's some good things, I think. Yeah, there's some good things, I think. And that's it for Scream Queens. Guys, let me know in the comments down below, what are your favorite scenes? What are your favorite lines? Because this show has so many, it's honestly outrageous. I'm also thinking of making a post-heated rivalry video now that I've read the books, both, and now that I've seen the show a few times. Now that I have a lot of thoughts, is woke coming back? Yeah. Yeah. Also, are there any other TV shows that I should watch and recap or talk about? I feel like there's a lot of 2000s and 90s like hidden gems that I haven't watched in a while that we could revisit. Also, let me know if this like structure that I did in this video is good or not. Like instead of recapping all of the events like as they go, is just more like a generalized view. That was fun. It's easier to script and my stutter has been kicking my ass recently. So send good vibes and strength. And until next time, stay safe, stay sane, stay stupid, and stay stuttering. Bye, guys. And keep an eye out, because this background is going to oh, y'all are not ready. You're not ready for the serve. I'm going to serve such a bad room.